Hey guys, and welcome to an awesome game of domination sent in by the mighty A-Move hacker. He's going to be taking the forces of Kislev with a really fun gun-ho build, taking on Grand Cathay. So let's delve into this. Now, the Kislev build is certainly wild. There is so many ranged options on the Kislev roster, and he's basically brought them all. So we have some legendary horse archers. Horse archers, quite powerful if in the right hands, however quite weak if used incorrectly. Interesting to see them against Grand Cathay, who have so many counters to them. We do have a double Little Grom in the middle. A bold pick, of course. Grand Cannons can become a problem for them. However, if your opponent doesn't bring cannons, or only brings one, Little Groms can do devastating long-range damage to the Grand Cathay forces, so big fan of this gambit. We have some Kossar Spears, as well as a triple Streltsy. Streltsy, the axe-wielding maniacs themselves, one of my favourite units on the Kislev roster for their simple badassery. They will shoot long range with their guns, and when the enemy gets closer, whip them around and turn them into cleaving war axes. Looks like that's it pretty much for the build. We have Cathay as well, kind of Heartwinter and Hailstorm. I'm glad people are starting to pick up that Hailstorm a little bit more and use it, because it's been a very powerful spell for a decent amount of time. For the forces of Grand Cathay, we have Great Longmire Riders escorting a Dragon-Blooded Lord in the sky, who is coming in with the Slow as well as the Talons of the Night. Kind of a competitive pick there. You tend to see both those spells 9 times out of 10. We have some Crane Gunners who are new and improved, and I think they are phenomenal up against Kislev, particularly in land battles though, and it looks like they're already being under quite a lot of early pressure by the double Little Groms, which is unfortunate for them. We have Peasant Long Spearmen, we have Jade Warriors, we have the Dune Dragons, Celestial Dragon Guard. We also have a Sky Lantern up in the skies, which is a hell of a cool pick. And walking amongst the dragons, striding forth to glory and victory, is the Terracotta Sentinel. Looking pretty badass. There's a lot of guns on the field though, so it's certainly going to be quite a tough time for that Terracotta to get into decent scenarios and situations. Looks like Crane Gunners taking significant damage early on. Unfortunately for these horse archers, oh no! They get slowed earlier on. The horses' limbs feel heavy and slow, and that's going to allow the Longmires to catch them and just put them in a body bag here. Horse archers not having a good day whatsoever. They may be able to pull back here to friendly territory. We have a lot of Streltsy nearby with some glorious Overwatch fire, and that was probably a worthwhile trade, honestly. The amount of wings and magic that costs, plus the damage it did to the horse archers compared to the Longmires, I'll be quite happy there to be the Kislev player. It does look like the horse archers were allowed to be caught here by some pesky Jade Warriors. They do swiftly retreat. However, Crane Gunners are now once again firing in, aiming at the enemy horse archers, doing a decent amount of damage here, but Little Groms are really working them over hard. Terracotta Sentinel is boldly striding forward here, looking to apply pressure to the enemy back line, regardless of the damage he takes. Grand Cathay looking to get super aggressive. I like this quite a bit here from the Cathay player, realizing he's got the range disadvantage, needs to move forward and engage the enemy. Sky Lantern is popping shots from long range. We get our first Talons. Dragons, long fort dead, arise once more to rip apart the Streltsy, and Longmires swoop in from the flanks, looking to delve in and do a killer blow. I like this though, going for the back units. They can't be counter-shot quite as effectively. And we have quad Streltsy on the battlefield. 5 Streltsy on the battlefield. This is going to be overwhelming firepower. I adore it. 5 units. Streltsy are stuck in combat here. Looks like the ones on the right-hand side aren't having the best of days. And the Longmires are once again pursuing outwards, trying to shut down the ranged units. But how can you shut down this many? They are pouring on the damage right now. Focus firing down that Terracotta Sentinel, who's not having a fantastic day. It looks like some pesky long spearmen are hunting down Streltsy. Little Grom actually trying to delve into combat there, alongside Cathay, who's on a horse today, trying to pin the enemy in place and allow the Streltsy to be free to shoot once more. Big Fat Heartwinter does go down. That's going to catch out the Doom Guard as well as the Jade Warriors and the Terracotta Sentinel. Won't do much damage to him, I don't think. It seems to be better against infantry, but hey, it's chunking him a little bit, and that's got to count for something. Streltsy are really laying on thick, doing some good work now that the Great Longmires have been forced off. Some sneaky Jade Lancers managed to juke and jink back and forth around some dervishes to get into the back line and shut down the Streltsy. Love that play. And we have even more Peasant Horsemen flooding on top of the Streltsy. Great aggressive play, and this has freed up the Crane Gunners and Sky Lantern to fire a little bit more and pursue their dreams. Terracotta does some bad arseries, flips and twirls, decapitating Streltsy with each swing of the blade. There are brave men of Kislev though, and they are going to stand and fight. I love that little tooltip. Gun Great Axe Infantry. It's so badass. We're about to get a nasty spell come down as well. Oh my god! Cathay with her ability coming down the rank. I've barely ever seen that ability used because it tends to do absolutely nothing or just doesn't fire properly, but Holy damn, that did a lot of damage. The Doom Dragons, though, are still carving their way through Streltsy, and Streltsy everywhere are under siege. This is really going to allow, as well, the Grand Cathay player to get some nice early caps. So I'd like to see him go for a bit of a double cap and just start getting some tickets on the board. Dervishes have managed to circumvent around some Jade Warriors, who are going to instead push on towards these Cossacks and Objective 3. And the Dervishes will be able to shut down the Crane Gunners, who've been under immense pressure all day long. Still somehow got 98 kills, despite the pressures from Little Grom in the early stages of the battle. Little Groms are running away from peasants, which is quite hilarious to see. Now, the guns are relatively free once more. It's starting to stabilize a little bit in the back here. It's cost Grand Cathay so much to consistently apply this pressure. They've done some good work themselves. Doom Dragons up to 55 kills, bouncing around, but the ground is littered with the dead of friend and foe. Somehow that Terracotta Sentinel, despite the fact there's 5 units of Strelts on the battlefield, is still alive and just been a bit of a menace in the hood here. Only 11 kills on him, though. I don't think his damage value is going to be anything to write home about. 700, it's okay. It's nothing too good, though. And he's done a lot of good backline pressure and harass. So what I think the Cathay player needs to do now is sit back a little bit. You've moved forward, you've done your damage, you've capped 2 objectives. Fall back and build up your army a little bit, because it's looking a little bit rough on the battlefield for them. It certainly looks like Kislev have more kind of powerful and influential troops in better condition left on the battlefield right now. Peasant archers are getting overrun by dervishes in the back, despite the best attempts of some peasant longswordmen to protect them. Sky Lantern's going to continue to pop shots. Would like to see it focus down a Little Grom, or more likely Cathay can do some nice damage there. And the Streltsy are laying it on thick. Unfortunately, our mighty warrior does fall to the sound of thunder and applause as Little Grom lets loose a shot, taking down the Crane Gunners once more. We actually have some Zargod on the battlefield. The mighty Dragon-Blooded Lord is juking back and forth, attempting to skirt away from the constant harass and pressure of the Streltsy. It really is a brutal fight so far for both sides. The Doom Dragons are still somehow alive. I feel like they've been all over the back line, and they are now hunting down Winged Lancers. They're suddenly outnumbered and surrounded. You can hear the horn sounding in the deep one more time. The Winged Lancers have arrived, but likewise have the Jade Lancers counter-punching, trying to save their Liege Lord and Dragons. Streltsy look like they're going to break, and I don't think the Winged Lancers will be able to take this much pressure, and probably need to pull back a little bit here. We have some Horse Archers who have used up all their ammunition, can start applying a bit of pressure to Objective 2. Peasant Longswordmen are the only unit guarding it. It is a fat troll cap for Grand Cathay. They definitely need to build up their army again, though, because this Kislev push looks like it could be really quite frightening. Dragonblind Lord's getting up in the skies once more. There's no pressure coming from the Horse Archers. They are out of ammo. Streltsy as well looking a little bit worse for wear. Doom Dragons still alive. My god, fighting to the bitter end here. Only 1,000 HP left. Doing the Lord's work, it would seem, or the Dragon Emperor as well. The Jade Lancers doing a good job getting a rear attack on some Winged Lancers, who are currently being pinned in by Peasant Longsword, and that's a really nasty sandwich for them to be encapsulated by. Peasant Archers are now unleashing hell on all flanks, so Grand Cathay's forces are really wearing a bit thin. They summon in some great Long Mars, which is a relatively expensive summon, and they're going to have to put in a lot of work. It looks like they've been brought in to deal with these constant raids from the Cavalry, maybe protect the Peasant Archers, but instead they're actually pushing backwards, going after those pesky Little Groms, which isn't a bad idea. Little Groms have done fantastic work all day long. Cathay has popped on Objective 3. It looks like there's a bit of fighting going on over here. A little bit of resistance from one unit of Jade Warriors, who parked themselves right next to some Streltsy. Oh no! No! Oh, that's not a good day to be a Jade Warrior. They're just kind of holding the line, shields raised, and getting absolutely obliterated. There they go. Now they're going to start charging full to engage. Nope, they're just kind of vibing. They're just vibing. This is a horrible shooting range. An absolute death squadron coming in. Unfortunate play there for Grand Cathay. There's so much going on the battlefield, though. This stuff does tend to happen a lot more in domination. It looks like a Talons comes down on the Zargard. That is a lovely cast, catching a considerable amount of them and maybe allowing the Peasant Longswordmen to actually fall back and escape. But likewise, Kislev is not without their own magic and trickery. A big fat Heart Winter is going to go down, catching 3 units, which is devastating to Grand Cathay because they do not have much on the battlefield. They really need to be focusing on trades now, keeping their units alive. You've got the objectives. You just need to, play for kills at this moment, and you'll be absolutely fine. Peasant Longspearmen as well as the Peasant Horsemen going to be sandwiching some Zargard. Wouldn't be a bad idea. And despite that big damage in the middle, it looks like for now, Cathay still has the triple cap, though I think Objective 3 looks like it's going to start to fall out of their hands, unfortunately. Sky Lantern can continue to focus down Cathay. Zargard are moving up now, though. Lovely pressure in the back. The Drowned-Blooded Lord is able to hopefully rout off some Strelts with the help of the Great Long Mars and just keep all these units pinned back in their deployment zone, which is quite nice for sure. It looks like the Terracotta Sentinel's a little rector there with his spear sticking up. But Little Groms continue to pound in. They've been firing all day long, and Kislev are now moving on to Objective 1. It looks like they may well claim Objective 3 as well, and they're going for Objective 2. Looks like they're going straight for the reverse counter-punch, going for the triple, and despite having a 3,845 ticket lead, if Kislev get the triple cap here, it's all over. There's not enough time to come back, I don't think. There's a lot more time. If you kind of fall back in the early game, there's potential for comeback. If it happens in reverse, so I feel like normally it is game over. Jade Lancers clash with the Dervishes. It's going to be a good fight for the Jade Lancers, and actually that's going to keep Grand Cathay capturing Objective 1. They only need the one objective, so maybe if they can turtle on one, but there's so much pressure coming in. Winged Lancers, Dervishes, all over the battlefield as Streltsy start to come into the battle once more. Looks like they're doing enough to beat back the Great Longmar Riders. It seems that the Drownblood Lord is still alive, but I can hear objectives being capped now. Objective 3 is Kislev controlled. Objective 2 is also Kislev controlled. And Objective 1 is falling more and more into their hands. We have a summon of Jade Lancers that are trying to come forward and help hold a bit of pressure. I'd love to see a Talons come down here. Where do you pop it? There's Zargard, there's Winged Lancers, there's even more Zargard and Winged Lancers. There's so many enemies, and there's even more reinforcements. Dervishes are starting to swarm down alongside Horse Archers. Looks like we are going to get an Air of Effect spell come in. Fortunately, it does more friendly fire damage than anything else, because rather wisely, the Kislev forces thought we would pull out of it, and then they heroically charge into it. I see a dragon, I charge headlong into such creatures. Valiant Heart of Wind to go down, and with a triple cap, I do not see any way Grand Cathay get back into this. But saying that, I may be wrong, because Peasant Horsemen are hunting down the Streltsy, and we have some revitalized Jade Warriors pushing on to Objective 3. They just need that sneaky cap. We'll have to see if the Kislev player realizes the pressure he's actually under. In the middle fight, yeah, Jade Lancers are currently being eaten by the Heart of Winter. This won't affect the Kislev forces. They were born in the ice, molded by the ice. They didn't see the sun till they were nearly men, and by then it was nothing but blinding. And they did a decent job, though. Look at the army on the battlefield. It's disgusting stuff. And yeah, it looks like Objective 3 has been thwarted. We have Horse Archers and Streltsy going over there. And I'm just going to fast forward this bit here, because I just don't see any meaningful resistance that's going to get made by the Cathay forces. It looks like Catherine will be surrounded and probably dragged down here. The Sky Lantern's done decent work all day. 1.3k value on that bad boy. Not a bad pick against Kislev, who do lack the anti-air tools, apart from, of course, range. But there's just no Cathay forces on the field. Like, they push in 1 or 2 units for an objective. Look at the dominance of Kislev on the battlefield. There's such a large army. There is no way. And the Grand Cathay player knows this and decides to back down. Very well played, though. An awesome game to both players. I think Grand Cathay actually had a really good start. They suffered quite a lot of casualties by doing that early push, but they pinned Kislev back, hopped on top of the objectives, but they continued to try to assert that pressure in the mid-game, where they should have probably, kept the enemy distracted a little bit with the units they already had up there. They're never going to win the fight by grinding down Kislev in Kislev's deployment zone, and should have started to build up a reserve army to then send out to hold and fight on the objectives. Is probably what I would have done, but hey, I've made this mistake before, and it's all in hindsight and that glorious stuff. Lovely work from the Little Groms. I mean, 1.5k pretty much, and 820 value is not shabby. 1.4k, 1.1k, 1.8k. Turns out gun beats spear in this instance. And gun also beats bow and arrow, I think. Yeah, the archers didn't do quite so well. So it was a bit of a fight of gunpowder versus manpower, and gunpowder was successful. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. It was a good fun cast. If you did indeed enjoy it, make sure to leave a big fat juicy thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Feel free to comment down below what you thought of the battle. All 3 of those things help the channel out greatly, and it is really appreciated. I enjoy reading through the comments. Feel free just to leave a funny comment as well if you've got nothing to say on the battle, or you don't have any content you would like to see in particular in the future. I may do a live stream today on release of this. I'm not sure when it's coming out. We're planning on doing a domination tom, which is fun. And the day of recording this, I'm also planning on doing a different game. An interesting chess game with shotguns on stream. So you can always feel free to check that out as well. Load of links down below to Twitch, Patreon, Discord. Twitch is where I occasionally do extra streams. Discord's where you can submit replays to the channel and have them cast, get involved in tournaments and live streams. And Patreon is where you can support the channel. Until next time, guys, peace, and as always, stay awesome.